Hello and welcome to the Cellar Door New Zealand. I'm George. We all know I love a cellar door, but I also love a brew lounge and a distillery. A little later on, I'll be heading to Juno Gin, but first up, I'm in Hamilton on my way to the perfectly named Good George Brewery, and I cannot wait.
We're continuing our journey down New Zealand, and today we're starting a few hours south of Auckland in Hamilton. Nestled on the banks of the mighty Waikato River, Hamilton is known for its award-winning gardens, gourmet eateries, and colourful street art. Always good to have a stroll before you visit a brewery.
How's it hanging? I'm gonna go in a tui slide. Was rather anticlimactic. To drink some booze, I guess.
Okay, back to work. Today I'm visiting Good George Brewery. What a name. Good George have tap houses all across the country, but this is the original bar, established in an old St George's church, hence the name.
It was a pretty derelict building when we first shifted in, like it was going to fall over.
Right.
Pretty much. But when we came inside, it was like, seriously, this is awesome. So we work really hard to really try to preserve the natural history of the building and work with what it actually has.
Something tells me these windows are not original.
We used to be a church, obviously, and we had people when we were building it come in saying, oh, I got married here, and showing us their wedding photos and things. It was real cool.
Nothing like being able to revisit your wedding location while having a fresh pint.
So we built all this. This is obviously the brewing part. So we wanted to really connect that brewery with the church to give it that, you can hear it, you can smell it, it's right here. There's no mystery about how we're making the beer. It's, it's all on display.
And so it should be. With a host of awards, the focus here is very much on consistency and freshness. All aspects of production are done on site to maintain quality. And so, since opening, operations have spilled out into adjacent buildings. While they also distill vodka and gin, I think I better just start off with a beer. Speaking of which, I reckon it's time for a taste. So I'm meeting Brian at the bar. First up, an ever-popular IPA, the Haymaker.
We're here in the Waikato, so it's all about what we grew up doing. So when I was looking at the tasting notes, I thought, it was describe fresh cut grass and hay in the tasting notes in the beer. So I thought, what better beer than called Haymaker? Because we all grew up picking up thousands of bales of hay when we were young fellas on the farm. So it's a real a nod to our rural heritage here in Hamilton.
Gorgeous, and it sounds delicious.
It is.
Green is my favourite colour, coincidentally.
So this is our new cans. So we're looking at refreshing our brands, looking at bringing the family back together as part of a group and presenting the Good George family of brands right across from beers to ciders to gins to tonics and whatever we come up with next.
Whatever's next.
Yeah, whatever's next.
This is the most generous tasting pour that I've ever
We're going
seen
to
in my
do it
life.
properly. Yeah. It's all right, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, we're okay, aren't we? Cheers.
Cheers.
For all of our beers, a lot of them are about the aroma. So this has got that fresh cut grass, that nice, there's almost a passion fruit kind of character coming there from the hops that we use. So we use New Zealand, Australian and the US hops are used in this beer. So 5.8%. So it packs a bit of a punch. This is the beer.
You can't feel it though, you can't taste that.
No. So this is one of our original beers. We had this for the whole 10 years we've been here. So I think it was the second beer we ever made was this IPA.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, cheers, thanks.
It's also taken out 3 gold medals in a row at the New Zealand Beer Awards. Not too shabby. Okay, keep 'em coming. Next up, deck chair. or, as New Zealanders might say, dig cheer.
So, the deck chair,
Deck chair.
named for...
We wanted a really sessionable hazy pale ale. So it needed to be something you can just have during the summer that wasn't too heavy, too light. So deck chair sort of exemplifies what this beer is about. It's really refreshing. Don't overthink it, just drink it.
Don't overthink it, just drink it.
Pretty sure that's my new life's motto.
There you go.
Lovely cloud. Another cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Hazies are all the rage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is got some beautiful fresh fruit in it, hasn't it? Really, really nice and juicy.
Like a breakfast beer.
Not too heavy, nice and smooth through the finish. So it's really the ultimate sessionable beer.
Hazies are all the rage currently, and I can see why.
That does have some lovely fruit in
Yeah.
it.
So you imagine this on a summer's day, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard to do in the middle of winter in Hamilton, but
I don't know.
yeah.
I'm transported.
There you go.
I'm in my deck chair. Maybe with a doona.
With
At
the
this
doona.
time of year, yeah.
That's very Australian of you. Yeah. So it's very much about the hop and that fresh citrus character coming through. So it's really just a yummy beer. Nice and easy to drink.
Yeah.
Cool. You want to try something else?
Let's do it.
Right. Now we're gonna we're gonna take it up a notch.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm always ready, and we'll see you after the break. I'm in Hamilton at Good George Brewing, where Brian and I are off to the races. What's next, Brian?
So this is our squealer, right? So 946 mils.
Right.
So, which is 32 fluid ounces. There's a
That
whole
is
story.
what I was gonna say.
There's a whole story to that.
And how does the squealer fit into that?
So the squealer is, our very first packaging expedition was into squealers, which we were buying from the US. So they were what we thought was 1 litre squealers. We're getting them out of Lawrence, Kansas in the US, and we had lots of them on the water. We had them pre-screen printed, and that was our route to market, because a wise man once said to us, whatever everyone else is doing, don't freaking do it. So we thought we'd go our own way and create this squealer category in New Zealand, which has been really successful for us. And then we had 300,000 bottles on the water, and we discovered that actually they weren't 1 litre, they were only 946 mils. So yeah, that was a bit of a problem, yeah.
You can think of the squealer as the growler's younger and equally loud sibling, holding about 3 cans worth.
So this is Haze of Glory. So this is our double trophy winning beer.
Congratulations.
And then, thank you, and then at the New Zealand Beer Awards last month, all of the hazy beers in New Zealand,
That's the best.
this is the champion. So this
What
is,
did you do? How did you make it better?
Oh, look, we looked at the hop selection, so we changed our hop selection to a different type of New Zealand hops. We added a bit more oats in there to smooth out the palate, so malted oats give you a nice silky smooth palate. So we just changed, it was just a tweak and a change. Took it up to 7% to give it a bit more oomph on the alcohol, so it is 7%.
Okay.
So, but the idea is to be able to have that alcohol well integrated into the product, so you don't really feel that you're drinking a 7% beer, which is kind of dangerous. But anyway, cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, mine's bigger than yours. Perfect. So this, again, is all about that fresh New Zealand, juicy, smooth,
It's
creamy,
really smooth.
silky smooth kind of mouthfeel that comes through. So it should be nice and doesn't taste like a 7% beer.
Not at all.
So this is the beer that's just gonna.
I could drink this in a deck chair as well.
You could drink this in a deck chair, yeah. You wouldn't be able to get out of the deck chair after a few of them, though.
Have a little nap in the deck chair.
You know, the hazy category is the hardest one to win in New Zealand Beer Awards because it has the most entries by a country mile. So we're really, on a consistent basis, always trying to improve. Every batch we review, every batch we produce a chart which looks at what it is and against what our standard is, and they're like, okay, cool. How do we keep getting better? How do we keep getting better? So that's a real big focus of ours.
Which you're doing very well at.
Which we see,
Clearly.
yeah. Here's the result, part of the results, yeah.
Can you top this? Is there a beer to top this one in the lineup?
We'll give it a go.
All right, my arm is twisted. One more, then I really must be off.
This is cider. So a lot of what we do here is cider. So we sell probably 40% of our whole volume is cider. This Doris is our rock star product. So this started maybe 8 years ago. when we were making cider. We were making here in the restaurant, making Doris Plum pizza bases. They were venison and brie pizzas with a Doris Plum chutney. And so they were getting the Doris plums and they were just throwing away the juice. They said to the brewers, well, do you want the juice? We went, yep.
So I'm going to taste this and never want to drink another cider again. Beautiful colour.
Yeah, that's Doris plums. They're a Kiwi heritage plum, and so they are a red, really deep red fruit. So they add a lot of flavour and aroma to the cider.
Yum.
Cheers. So all of our ciders have got that
That is juicy and fresh.
juicy, fresh, but and they're not too sweet either.
No.
So that's the thing we don't want. We want a really nice balance between that sweetness and that tartness, just from the malic acid from the apples. So all New Zealand product, New Zealand apples and New Zealand plums.
That is really delicious.
Non-alcoholic version, it's pretty good. Like it's the same thing, we just don't ferment it for as long. So it ferments in pretty much 24 hours.
While we're talking about good things,
Yeah.
something that Good George is very invested in is giving back and your charity work, and I know that's
Yeah.
a big focus for you.
Yeah, look, it's something that we've been doing for pretty much the history of Good George. So anytime there's a school function or there's been a PTA needs a fundraising, Good George has always been there. We've always been there with beer or cider to help. And we've, raised hundreds of thousands of dollars along with the charities over the years.
I'll drink to that.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good Brian and good George. Hey, that's us.
On that note, it's time to hit the road south. We're travelling down the North Island's west coast some 4 hours to New Plymouth. We're passing through Otorohanga, home of all things Kiwiana, and the rolling hills are only getting greener. New Plymouth sits at the base of the iconic Mount Taranaki, offering some beautiful parks and some great hikes, I hear, in Egmont National Park. First, a quick pit stop in town.
Before we head to Juno Gin, I'm taking advantage of the vibrant community of boutique businesses on offer at New Plymouth Central. Within a city block, you'll find retail therapy, world-class art, a hotel fit for royalty or a royal host, and of course, food, wine, and delicious coffee.
Okay, I'm fully replenished and checked into my hotel. Time for gin. It's also home to Juno Gin. First, I'm chatting local ethos with Dave, who started Juno with his wife Jo.
We sort of were looking around and we could see the renaissance of gin happening in the UK. Jo's always loved gin. She'd been watching it and sort of seeing what was going on, and when we came back to New Plymouth, we decided to build our own still here in New Plymouth rather than import a still from overseas. Taranaki, where we are, is a really agricultural province, so things grow really well. So we figured, hey, why are we importing all of these botanicals that are used in the gin when we grow them ourselves?
And you do use predominantly local botanicals?
We do. My brother grows our angelica root.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're also in the process of sourcing local juniper berries.
So the juniper cones, because they're not a berry, they're a pine cone.
Right.
From a conifer tree, Juniperus communis.
So where did the tiny little
Those are
berry things come from?
They're the female cones. They're dioecious tree.
Oh, they're
so
tiny cones.
Yeah, they're female and male trees, and they wind pollinate. And those are the little female cones.
Right.
So we knew they were brought into New Zealand in the 1980s. So we knew they were here, but when they were brought in as seeds and then stratified to germinate them. And then the person that brought them in didn't realise that they're dioecious, male and female. So he sold them as individual specimens. So not many survived. And interestingly enough, all of the juniper berries or cones that are harvested, they're all Northern Hemisphere. And they're pretty much all harvested from the wild. There's no real commercial plantations of them.
Right.
So we're also going through the process of setting up the first commercial plantation of juniper as well.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
In the meantime, though, where do you just go foraging for yours?
No, we get them from Macedonia. We have to buy them through spice houses. So they get collated into a spice house in England and then they come down to New Zealand. So, but we've got 248 trees that are in various stages of about like this. So,
Male and female.
male and females, yes. Yeah, so we're hoping that we'll probably about another 3 to 5 years we should start bringing in New Zealand's first juniper.
Great.
Yeah.
They also came up with a creative way to source the cuttings for their local plantation.
These things were brought into the country, but they've gone they scattered throughout New Zealand. So we thought, hey, how are we going to find them? So that's where we started the Great New Zealand Juniper Hunt.
And what happens on the Great New Zealand Juniper Hunt?
You have to Google a video, it's quite a humorous one. But we basically just went all over New Zealand through multimedia trying to find juniper trees.
Yourselves, or were you getting
we had
everyone to
everybody to do it, yeah.
like a Where's Wally, but for
yeah, exactly, for juniper
trees.
trees, yeah. But we were ringing out bonsai clubs and garden clubs and all sorts of things.
Just trying to track them down.
Trying to track them down. And Turangi and Twizel were both built in around about the same time because when they were brought into the country. So we went to those towns and blitzed them to see if there were any in any backyards.
Did you find any?
We found 3 in Twizel.
Wow.
Yeah, but we found them all the way from Christchurch right up to Whangarei, which is right at the top of the North Island.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And then did you just bring them back? Or
We took cuttings of them. Our Ministry of Primary Industries wouldn't allow us to import the trees. They had to go
Because of
through
the
a
risk.
quarantine process. So it was easier to try and find them around New Zealand. Yeah.
Easier being a relative term.
But it was fun.
Yes.
And we found a female and 2 males in Christchurch Botanical Gardens.
Oh, really?
So she had fertile cones on them. So we've actually got a fertile cones.
Oh, great.
So we're able to make some gin from it and play around with that as well.
Oh, Dave, I can't wait to taste the fruits of your experiments.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers.
Dave and Joe have developed an extensive range through their flavour explorations, so next up I'm sitting down with Joe for an insight into the process. And a few samples, of course.
I thought it'd be really interesting to think about how plant material makes a really big difference to the flavour of the gin. Got a little bowl of juniper here.
Juniper cones.
Yes, indeed. You quick learner, you. Break that open with your nails, or you can bite into it, whatever
Yeah,
you
I think I
prefer.
might have to bite.
And then have a smell of inside, so it should be gleaming and sappy.
Yeah. Hello, gin.
It does smell like gin. So just that is the backbone that we're looking for in all of our classic gins. But then I thought, we've made one great gin. What better opportunity to talk about flavour than to have seasonal gins? So every 3 months we look at what's growing abundantly. I get to bring those fresh botanicals into the gin, and we end up with, spring, summer, autumn and winter.
Which is also a lovely encapsulation of your ethos of sort of keeping it local as well.
That's absolutely right. So if we took out the kaffir lime and we brought in Seville oranges, so we have gone down a flavour profile that is even more citrusy. Seville oranges are bitter, and then they open up to that juicy orange flavour, so they're great in marmalades, etc. I've added some gentian root. It's the root of a blue flower.
The gentian violet?
Yeah. We've been working with a local company, Strategy Collective, and Craig Jones has done our artwork over the years. But during that lockdown in 2020, let's offer a $1,000 cash prize for each label and see what happens.
And what happened?
Oh, we got the most beautiful artwork, and then we think about the theme and how it reflects on, what we wanted to do with the gin, and we pick, 4 winners. So this is actually Vicky Pickles. She's a kindy teacher up in Auckland.
Oh.
It's got a kind of Spanish coastal vibe for me. So with that Seville orange, I thought, here's our chance.
Yum.
Isn't that beautiful?
And that juice comes through.
And with a little bit of tonic, it becomes much more of the juice story, and that bitterness suddenly kind of vanishes, and it's like, oh, this is interesting.
Okay.
I hope. Gosh, what have I got wrong?
So summery. I feel like I'm kicking back in the sun, having a little cocktail. That's delicious.
Summer's gin on a winter's day. Not a bad combo. More gin after the break. I'm in New Plymouth at Juno Gin, where Joe is giving me some insight into the distilling process on their locally made still.
We are super proud of having worked with local engineering firms.
They're not really built in New Zealand generally, are they?
No, and it was really interesting. Like Dave and I, we're a married couple. We haven't owned a business together before. And we did have this think about who's going to be the boss and what happens if we disagree on something. This is an example where Dave and I disagreed. So I was really keen to have a still from Germany, built by experts, you know, that have been making them in Germany for hundreds of years. But Dave was going, this is an oil and gas province. If we can't build a still here, then we're in a power of trouble. And anyway, the star of the show is Leela.
Nice to meet you, Leela.
So when we're making gin, of course, juniper's the core of it, and it is a conifer plant. So we have our...
Yeah, I didn't realise.
I know we all say juniper berries, but seed cones. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Tiny little cone.
So we've got them in the still. We really want them close to the heat and to the water and to the alcohol. We're trying to extract some of the volatile oils from that juniper, so they are inside the berry. So, you know, we want to get that sap out. And there's different ways of doing that. You could crush it, you can macerate it, so soak it overnight. Every distiller has their kind of approach, which I think is really interesting.
What's your approach to it?
Or
is that a secret?
State secret!
Can't give it away.
We've got angelica, we've got cardamom, coriander, some citrus sauce, and we use kaffir lime leaf in our extra fine gin. And they are all a little bit sensitive to water. And we don't want the water-soluble flavours to be coming through into our gin. So if you were making vegetable stock, what do? You get plant material, put it in water and boil the living daylights out of it. That's not gin.
No.
So we have our plant material mainly in an infusing basket, which is this part of the process.
And that doesn't actually get liquid through it?
No, so when we're heating this up, the alcohol evaporates first. So the first vapour that's moving through the system, through the onion head, and that is a beautiful onion head.
It is.
Down through the line arm, and then it's coming through this, and then we've got our basket of botanicals, and that vapour, that alcohol vapour is going up through there, extracting all this delicious flavour, then coming through our pipework and down to our condenser.
Is the heat is in...
This is cold, so the top of it's going to feel very hot and the bottom of it feels very cold.
Oh, and it
So-
turns it back into a liquid.
That's it. So what we get out the
Or
far end is
condenses it.
is gin. It's gin, but gin at around about 80%.
Right.
So a day to make the gin, but diluting the gin down to the bottling strength, that is a really different story. So I must have slept through this bit of chemistry, but when you put alcohol and water together, they shrink. And that shrinking throws out heat. The whole lot boils. So it takes us about 3 days
So
to
you have
dilute
to very
it.
slowly...
Slowly,
Really?
to get the best flavour at the finish.
It's a labour of love.
Something to appreciate next time there's a gin on offer, which is right now, matter of fact. Time for the autumn.
Autumn, I was really inspired by, actually I was fantasising about having my own batch.
For those unfamiliar with Kiwi colloquialisms, a batch is a small holiday beach house.
You know, classic Kiwi batch. So you've got the beautiful native bush growing beside the batch. My batch would be on the beach, so there's a little bit of seaweed in this as well. A lavender bush out the front, those native New Zealand botanicals, and the other elements are the supporting cast, if you like.
Very nice.
Here we go.
Yeah. That orange is kind of subsided.
Absolutely. So we've got things like kawakawa, horopito, some te kuka, so
don't know
cabbage
the
tree bark. Yes, of course you won't know any of
Don't
these
know those
plants.
flavour profiles
No,
at all.
so horopito is, its proper name is Pseudowintera colorata. Fairly widespread. It likes colder climates and it has a peppery heat and kind of referred to as New Zealand's native pepper. Bunch of really interesting things.
So elegant. It's so balanced and...
Thank you. And you could be a judge at the Spirits Awards because they said the same.
Oh, did they?
And gave it a gold medal. So
I'm available.
Definitely a career in the making. To cap off my time here, Tessa is going to make some of her signature cocktails. First up, the Yellow Negroni.
It's a nice light version of the classic Negroni, using equal parts, so always very easy to remember.
First in, the extra fine gin,
All over us.
then some limoncello, then the honey, it's time vermouth.
It's gonna be good. And then stirring it for about 30 seconds, helping it to dilute and mix together. One giant ice cube. So it doesn't
huge bit of ice.
Yeah, so it doesn't melt too fast. Over top. And just to add a little bit of that beautiful floral freshness. These are flowers from a pineapple sage plant. And then a pop of colour as well. And there you are.
That's good for me, but I can't drink alone. Well, I can, but it's always better with company. So Jess is whipping up an espresso martini with Juno's Vesta Coffee Vodka.
45 mils of coffee vodka. And then for a little bit of sweetness and enhance that coffee note, 30 mils Kahlua. And then of course you got to get that kick in there of espresso, 30 mils of that too. No sugar, that Kahlua provides enough sugar in there just to add that little bit of balance and sweetness to it. And then what you want to do is give it a good solid shake so you get that foam on top. Because there's a lot of chocolate notes in this coffee vodka already, what I like to do is shave a bit of chocolate on top. Makes it a beautiful dessert
Look at that.
and ready to enjoy.
Shall we taste?
Oh, most definitely. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, Tessa.
No worries, thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
Just what I need.
Yeah. Yum. Cheers, everybody.
At last, a morning vodka. Oh, that's good. Next time on the Cellar Door, we're off to the North Island's east coast. And I can't wait.